The Buccaneers are not going to shy away from offensive talent in the draft. That and more on today's episode of Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome into this episode of Locked On Bucs, your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or view every day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarcho at JYarcho_Bucs, credentialed member of the media covering your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here with you every Monday through Friday, along with the everydayers. And for that, I want to share my appreciation for your continued support of the show. One of the ways you can support the show is become a Locked On Bucs insider. You're going to get news, rumors, updates, general thoughts, one-on-one conversations with me via text message. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes to become an insider today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, it is our final breakdown of prospects for the Bucs at positions of need that span, well, not all 7 rounds in this particular episode, but we have covered prospects of all 7 rounds with edge rushers, cornerbacks, linebackers, and safeties. You can go check out all of those episodes as you gear up for the first round of the draft Thursday night. But today we are focusing on receivers and running backs, and this is going to be a little different than what we've done to this point. And here's how this one is going to work. I'm going to talk about the receivers first, then the running backs, but I'm not talking about any first-round receiver prospects. In fact, I won't bring up any receiver that will likely be taken in the first or second round, and no running backs that will be taken in the first 2 days. Now, Peter Schrager of ESPN dropped his mock draft Wednesday morning, and he has the Bucs taking wide receiver Tet McMillan at 19. And if that happens, the live show reaction is going to be crazy. I just don't see the Bucs passing up a defensive talent for a skill position player that early in the draft. I could be wrong. It just seems highly, highly unlikely. And again, just because I don't mention a player on this show does not mean that I don't like him or that I think he wouldn't be a good fit. But we only have so much time to get through 2 positions, so I'm going with my favorite fits. So the first receiver I'm going to talk about here is Washington State's Kyle Williams. Now, only 5'11", 185, finished as the 66th ranked receiver out of 1,040 last year, and he's coming off of a season with nearly 1,200 yards along with 14 touchdowns, averaging 17.1 yards per reception. He was 15th in all of college football in yards after the catch. He was 11th in screen yards, 10th in touchdowns, and had a drop rate of 6.7%. He's not great at contested catches because of his size, but ran a 4.4 40 and has a 36.5-inch vertical. He excels against man coverage because his quickness and footwork helps free him early on in the route, but he needs to work on being more sharp and effective out of his breaks. He tends to round his cuts a little bit more so than making those hard cuts. Yeah, and it makes it a little easier to defend him and actually slows him down a little bit. He doesn't high point the ball. Instead, he waits for it to come to him, and that has caused problems for him in the past, but he is excellent at tracking the deep ball, which the Bucs have struggled with. And he's a guy that can get tons of chunk yardage on short throws. Basically, you get him the ball, and he's going to make things happen. He's really elusive. He's hard to bring down in the open field because of that quickness. There is growth potential there. And coming into Tampa, he would be the 4th or 5th option to start. There's room to improve without the pressure of having to be a dude right out of the gate. So he can continue to work on those cuts. He could continue to develop more of his route tree. And then you could be looking at a player that emerges late in the season and into the playoffs the same way that Jalen McMillan did for the Bucs last year. Next up is Iowa State's Jalen Knoll. He's another smaller guy, 5'11", 200 pounds. He finished as the 56th ranked receiver in 2024. more of a slot receiver than an outside threat, but Noel finished also with nearly 1,200 yards along with 8 touchdowns, a contested catch rate of 52%, but a drop rate of just 4.8%. He had a 9.75 RAS score despite the knocks on his size, and he ran a 4.39 40 with a 41.5-inch vertical. That's absolutely insane. Noel is an athletic freak. He can take the top off the defense. He's explosive in short yardage, but he's also not scared of contact, and he can make those catches despite the fact that he knows that he's about to get blown up across the middle. He's just doesn't have a lot of experience as an outside receiver or against press man coverage. He's below average at run blocking. That's a requirement in this offense. And as a slot receiver, his time is going to be limited with Godwin taking 80 to 85% of those snaps in that spot. Could be a special teams weapon, but while I would like to add someone with his speed and his toughness, I would just be concerned that he's going to be stuck on the sidelines as a guy who plays primarily in the slot, not much outside, when you already have the best slot receiver in the NFL lining up there in Chris Godwin, who hopefully has a season like he did last year. Then my next one here is TCU's Savion Williams. 6'5", 225, a 4.48 40. The speed and the size are what you're looking for here. Just 611 yards and 6 touchdowns last year, but a contested catch rate of 88.9%. He's got to work on those hands, though. A drop rate of 11.8%. That is not acceptable. He dropped 8 passes last year. You don't want to see that carry over into his rookie season. He did force 18 missed tackles last season. That was the 32nd best in all of college football. But when you're using, probably it's going to take a 3rd round pick to land Savion Williams, you need to make sure that their hands are better than what he showed last year, that there's going to be improvement there, that you're going to be able to rely on him in crucial situations. He's really good at run blocking. He's got explosive first steps, and then he's also been used as a wildcat quarterback and running back throughout his time at TCU. He does get himself in some trouble with pushing off to gain separation. All right, let's be honest. Mike Evans has some problems getting, pushing off to gain separation, but at the same time, Evans can get away with it a heck of a lot more often than a rookie is going to be able to. Needs to work a little bit on his feet, being more diligent in his steps and what he's trying to do, not taking more steps than what is necessary to be able to accomplish his goal and get to the spot that the quarterback needs him to be in. But he is a player that you could see being an impact player, while all of his shortcomings are fixable issues. And that's the big thing here. We're going to be talking about more receivers, and we're talking about these guys that could be 3rd round, probably 4th round guys, but there's a reason that they have dropped this far. And there is a reason that they are going to be available at these spots. And it's because they're not polished products. They're not, completely refined. They do have shortcomings that have to be worked on. You get these guys in a room with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, even with Sterling Shepard, that veteran leadership, that knowledge that they can pass on and help build them up. It's the exact same thing you saw with Jalen McMillan last year. He was a sponge and he absorbed all of this information. That's what these receivers have to be able to do, because they are not finished products by any stretch of the imagination. The rest of the receivers the Bucs should be interested in, that is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the favorites to win the NBA Finals at plus 170. followed by the defending champion Boston Celtics at plus 190, the Cleveland Cavaliers at plus 490, and then the Los Angeles Lakers at plus 2100. I know that Oklahoma City has been dominating their opening round matchup, but my money is still on the defending champion Boston Celtics. I think they're the deepest team in the league. I think any player on any given night can be the one to beat you. Just like in game one, it was Derek White and Peyton Pritchard that were leading the scoring, while Tatum and Jaylen Brown were struggling from the field a little bit. But don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you again for making Locked On Bucs your first listen review every single day. For your second listen, find the Locked On NFL mock draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft. Go inside the Locked On War Room for all 32 picks in this ultimate 7-episode series. The Locked On NFL mock draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft's YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Getting into some of these day 3 receivers, I want to start with Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. 6'3", 185. Finished as the 18th best receiver in 2023, the 75th best receiver in 2022. He would be a day 2 guy for sure, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the fact that he only played 5 games last year before getting hurt and being out the rest of the year. Over 1,100 receiving yards in both 2022 and 2023. Last year, he had just 331 yards, but only 1 drop and 7 forced missed tackles. He was averaging 13.2 yards per reception when he went down to injury. A contested catch rate above 92% in both 2022 and 23. Horton can play inside, outside, and upside down. A 4.4 140, a 37.5-inch vertical, and a RAS score of 9.83. He is a little bit on the smaller side for a guy that tall, so adding a little bit of muscle would probably do him some good at the next level. He's one of the better route runners in this class, and he's a physical guy that can shed that press man coverage really, really well. He's not a full speed guy immediately. He kind of has to build up, but again, think of Mike Evans. He isn't 2 steps and then he's full speed. Right? He's deceptively fast is what we have always kind of referred to Mike Evans as. Horton is kind of the same way. He's absolutely great in run blocking. He's incredibly competitive. He just needs some fine tuning on some of these shortcomings of his, and then needs to put on a little bit more mass. The next player for me is someone that I have talked about a few times, and it's Maryland receiver Ty Felton. 6'2", 185. He was the 93rd ranked receiver in 2024, just over 1,100 yards, along with 9 touchdowns. Felton is a guy that he's not going to wow you, but he's going to get the job done. Okay, he's not going to be splashy. He's not going to be fancy. He's not going to make circus catches, but he is going to do exactly what you need him to do. He finds a way to get himself open, forced 26 missed tackles last season. That was the 8th best in college football. Not great at the run blocking and not a well-refined route tree. His skinny frame makes him a little bit easier to jam in press man coverage to kind of get him off of his spot, disrupt the timing a little bit. But remember, we are talking about a day 3 guy. There are going to be problems. The question is, are the problems things that can be improved on, or are they things that you have to live with? With Felton, most of these problems can be worked on and developed. A RAS score of 9.20, and he ran a 4.37 40. That's the speed that the Bucs need to add to the wide receiver room. However, this next guy brings even more speed and even more size. I talked about him, I would say about a month or so ago. All of these draft shows start to run together a little bit, but it's Tennessee wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr. He finished as the 59th ranked receiver in 2024. He ran a 4.3 flat 40, a RAS score of 9.85, and he's 6'5", 215 pounds. He's as big as Evans. He's faster than anyone on the Bucs, and he's coming off of a season with 662 yards on just 26 receptions. Don't worry, I'll do the math for you. That's 25.5 yards per reception, and he had 6 touchdowns, a contested catch rate of 75.0%, only 2 drops all season long. He is going to out physical press man corners. He works his way back to the football to help the quarterback. You get him the ball in space, he's gone. Get it to him on a quick slant, he's gone. This guy is a threat to score every single time he touches the ball. And I know what you're saying, James, why is he going in the 3rd round? Well, it's because his route tree is virtually non-existent. He's got about 3 routes that he can run. That has to be developed. You are not going to see the field as an NFL receiver with any level of consistency if you do not have the ability to run every route in the tree. His cuts are not sharp at all. He doesn't have any kind of ability to shake a defender that's right on top of him and break a tackle. And he doesn't get the kind of separation that he should with the speed that he possesses. Again, these are all things that can be worked on. These are all things that can be improved. What you're not going to do is teach someone how to be 6'5" and run a 4.3 flat 40. You can't do it. The last receiver I'm going to mention here is my dude. Some of you that know these prospects know where I'm going, but I'm talking about University of Illinois wide receiver Pat Bryant. 6'3", 200 pounds, finished with 984 yards and 10 touchdowns last season. He had the most game-winning touchdowns inside of 2 minutes or in overtime of any player in college football last season. He is as sure-handed as you are going to find in this draft class, a drop rate of just 1.8%. He can line up outside and in the slot, and he got some screen passes throughout the year last season. He is one of, if not the best run blocker in this draft class among receivers. He said at the combine, no block, no rock. That's the way he was taught to play the game, that he has to earn his targets by blocking for his running backs. That is something that the Buccaneers would absolutely love. You know how important the run game is for the Buccaneers offense, and they already have one of the better run blocking receivers in the league in Chris Godwin. But Pat Bryant comes in with that mentality, knowing that that's a job he has to do if he wants to earn his opportunities on the field. All that said, the combine was rough. He didn't test well. He doesn't have the straight line speed that I've talked about the Bucs needing. A RAS score of 7.08 after running a 4.6 140. But I mentioned it before. Bryant has game speed, and I have seen it plenty of times. The example that I will forever and always use, go back to the end of the game against Rutgers late in the season when that guy catches a 4th down pass and just blows past everybody to get into the end zone and win the game. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that he's going to take the top off the defense the way someone like Thornton or Knoll would, but he's, again, deceptively fast. I think what he lacks in speed, he makes up for with his sure hands, his physicality, and then, of course, the blocking. He is going to spring Bucky or Rashad for big gains in swing and screen passes. He is going to make some tough 3rd down catches in traffic, and he has a nose for the dramatic. When the pressure is on, when the spotlight is bright, he rises to the occasion. Time to talk about running backs in a rapid-fire fashion. That is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Bucs. You know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. It's a game changer for me with all the travel we do for my son's hockey. We can plug in a Fire TV Stick 4K into the TV so he can unwind after his games, or so that he and his teammates can run NHL Shell tournaments right from the comfort of their rooms. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Wrapping things up here on today's episode of Locked On Bucs, and the last position group that I'm going to go through are the running backs, and I'm going to do this kind of like I did with the day 3 safeties. I'm going to give you the player, couple of stats, what I liked the most, and what the biggest weaknesses are. So remember, we're basically talking about day 3 guys. There might be one or two that I mentioned that find their way into day 2, depending on if we have a run on the running back position. But we're going to start things off with Miami Hurricanes running back Damian Martinez. 6 foot, 230 pounds, finished as the 7th ranked running back in 2024 out of 444 qualifying running backs. 1,006 yards, 10 touchdowns on 160 carries last season. Martinez is that big back complement to Bucky Irving's more elusive style. He's decent in pass protection, but would be more of a short yardage goal line type power back, and the Bucs simply don't have that right now. He's not a good receiver, and he needs to be more aggressive at the point of contact when he's blocking, but he shows the makings of a reliable power back, especially on a team that's constructed the way the Buccaneers are. Next for me is Kansas running back Devin Neal. 5'11", 215 pounds. He finished as the 24th best back in 2024. 1,262 yards and 16 touchdowns on 218 carries. He has an elusive rating of 85.7, and he had 814 yards after contact last year, which was 29th overall in all of college football. He's a one cut and gone kind of back. He shows an elite kind of patience for a player his age. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He has great vision, and he's improved greatly in pass blocking. Now, the pass blocking still isn't where it needs to be, and he doesn't have the breakaway speed that's going to create those house calls from 50 or 60 yards. And it's not really a big change from what the Bucs have right now. In fact, his pro comp is Rachaad White. But that may not be a bad thing if your running backs are consistent across the board, meaning that you can use any of them in any situation and you are not limited by the personnel on the field. If all 3 of your running backs are more of the elusive kind, they can all catch out of the backfield, they can all pick up a blitzer, that means that the entire playbook is open no matter which running back is lined up behind or next to Baker Mayfield. Trevor Etienne out of Georgia is 5'9", 205 pounds, finished with 603 yards and 9 touchdowns last season, an elusive rating of 93.7. But Etienne is definitely small. Then again, so is Bucky Irving, and that kind of was whatever last year. He needs to be, Etienne, needs to be in a zone scheme to really have a chance to excel, and he's not a great receiver out of the backfield, but when you're talking about a rotational role where you can also use him on special teams, he would be the RB4 in this rotation. He's an interesting prospect to fit in the Bucs running back room. You know, if he's on the field, he has the chance to make things happen because of his ability to change direction at full speed. He's physical, he's quick, he runs a 4.42 40, but we're talking about a 5th round or later selection. You can find depth in special teams contributions here. I would be willing to take the shot on the upside of Etienne's just, athletic ability, especially when you're talking about a guy that would see the field primarily as a special teamer in his rookie year and then sprinkled in sporadically, barring, God forbid, knock on wood, no injuries, but barring any injuries, he's not going to get a ton of carries throughout the season because he would be behind Sean Tucker on the depth chart. Last one for me here is Michigan running back Khalil Mullings. 6'2", 235 pounds. Mullings went from 49 carries in 2022 and 2023 combined to 185 last season when he finished with 948 yards and 12 touchdowns. He's a converted linebacker, so he uses that experience to be a physical, violent runner. Protects the football like nobody else in this class. He had 0 fumbles on 185 attempts last season. Never stops moving his legs, so it takes more than one guy to bring him down. That said, he is not a good receiver out of the backfield, like at all. But do not throw this man a pass. He needs to work on being more patient and letting the blocks materialize in front of him. But that also kind of stems from the linebacker in him, where he was so used to full speed towards the line, from the snap to try to get in these gaps and clog up the running lanes, to somebody at a position where you have to be patient and you have to wait for that gap to form. He did get better about that down the stretch last season with Michigan. You saw that it was something that was improving, but it still needs a lot more improving at the NFL level. I love the size that he brings as a complement to what Bucky and Rashad already do, to what kind of running backs they already are. We're talking short yardage, goal line kind of guy. He is not going to bring you anything on special teams, which might be the reason that the Bucs kind of shy away from him. But I think he's going to be a good depth piece and a situational player wherever he goes. I'm not sure if the Bucs draft a running back, which direction they're going to go in. Do they go with the more athletic, elusive, quicker running back like they already have in order to kind of maintain the continuity of the offense regardless of what running back is on the field? Or do they go for what they're missing? Like, I like Sean Tucker. He's not exactly a power back. He's not going to bowl you over at the line of scrimmage. He is not going to shove defensive linemen back on those 1 or 2 yard situations or at the goal line. Rachaad White, he's hit and miss with that. Bucky, he can try to go up over the top. Rashad can try to go up over the top. They don't have that bruiser, powerful running back. So what kind of running back are the Bucs looking to bring in to round out the room? They can go in either direction, and I totally understand it. I talked about it a lot last year when I said when I was pounding the table for Audric Estime, because he was the complement that did the things that Rashad couldn't do. Instead, they go with Bucky. Cool. Awesome. Not going to complain about it in hindsight. But do you round out the room with a similar player that you already have, or do you bring in that bruiser that your team lacks? That's going to do it for this episode. Coming up tomorrow, Evan and I are going to have our dueling mock drafts. You will get to decide the winner between myself, Evan Klosky, and David Shealy as to who had the best mock draft, as we lead right up to the NFL draft tomorrow. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube with the notifications turned on so that you know when I go live Thursday night. We will be going live Thursday night and Friday night to react to the first 2 days of the NFL draft. Greg Allman of Fox Sports, the godfather of the Locked On Bucs podcast, he tweeted out last year the 19th pick was made at 10:21 p.m. Eastern time. That means I would be going live approximately 11:30, 11:40, right there in that range. So I have time to fulfill network obligations, get the show prepped and ready for you all to go live on Thursday night. But it'll be a lot easier if you're just subscribed on YouTube with the notifications turned on so that you know exactly when it's going to be. And of course, you can check out everything on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at @JYarcho_Bucs. Make sure that you are subscribed on your favorite podcast platform and become a Locked On Bucs insider. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnBucs or click the link in the show notes. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. I want to thank you so much for joining me right here on Locked On Bucs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.